So I wanted to talk about some interesting rule interactions I've had recently. The one is my own, and the other one was the thing my brother told me because I thought it was quite interesting. So it's about 2 weeks ago or so. I played at a Friday Night Magic type thing. It was meant to be bracket 3 commander decks. In my first game, I played Raffine. One of the opponents played, I think it's like Xenia or something, or Xenia. It makes, it gives all your creatures, what's the thing? You can, offspring. It gives all your creatures offspring. Then the other opponent played Muldrotha. And then the last one played some Izzet Spellslingers thing. It was like an uncommon, I can't remember. Anyway, so during the game, the senior opponent so he was getting punished, like his commander died like 3 or 4 times at this point, so he couldn't really play it anymore. He played Mockingbird, and I was like, he said, I'm going to make Mockingbird a copy of the Muldrotha. So I was like, in response, I'm going to kill the Muldrotha, right? Then the table said, which Muldrotha? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm going to kill the Muldrotha, the only one, right? Then they said, no, I can't do that because now there's 2 Muldrothas. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I want to respond to him targeting Muldrotha. So I was like, okay, I don't understand then, because do I not get a chance to like kill the Muldrotha? So they were like, you can kill one of them. And I was like, okay, well then I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to take that back. It wasn't really a game-changing play, but I thought it was an interesting, because I felt like they were like messing with me, because I was like, well, okay, can I not stop this Mockingbird from becoming a Muldrotha, right? So I went and researched, I read Mockingbird, I was like, it enters as a copy. Nowhere on the card does it say that it targets, right? But the Mockingbird was still on, so the opponent that played the Mockingbird played it wrong to begin with. He should have said, I'm playing Mockingbird. Are there any responses, right? But he didn't play it like that. He played it like, I'm playing Mockingbird and targeting the Muldrotha, which is not the way Mockingbird works. Mockingbird enters as a copy of something on the battlefield, right? So, how this should have gone is that he plays Mockingbird, I go, in response, I will kill the Muldrotha, before he says that he wants to make a copy of the Mockingbird or anything, because Mockingbird doesn't target. It has to enter, and then when it enters, it becomes a copy of anything that's legal on the battlefield. But because he played it in a way where it sounded like he was targeting, because I don't know how Mockingbird works, right? But now I know. Everything that enters as a copy, it has to have a valid target, and you cannot respond because it's already resolved. It enters as that thing. There's no targeting. But Muldrotha was the best card on the field, so I would have killed it, right? In response to him while his Mockingbird was in the stack, but because of that, it kind of messed with my mind. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take it back. I thought this was an interesting rules interaction because it's a little bit confusing because I don't know if I'm going to repeat myself now. So when he played Mockingbird, I had a chance to respond before it resolved. But if no one responds, you can't wait for the Mockingbird to come into play and then want to destroy the thing that it becomes a copy. So if he had said, I play the Mockingbird, and now I go, okay, I'm going to remove the Muldrotha in response to this, right? Because I don't want 2 Muldrothas on the field. That seems bad to me. Then the Mockingbird, after my removal, if the Muldrotha dies, the Mockingbird will resolve. And then he can target whatever is legal on the field. He can no longer become a copy of Muldrotha because it's no longer there, but he can still become a copy of anything else. But because he played it in a way where it sounded like he was targeting the Muldrotha while the Mockingbird was on the stack. That confused me. And so it was just he played it incorrectly. The rest of they were kind of right in a way that I can't kill the Mockingbird or the Muldrotha, sorry, after the Mockingbird is resolved. So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting interaction, and it kind of messed me up in that game, because after that I was like, my brain was kind of like, I thought I was getting like fucked over by 3 other people that didn't understand the rules, but they were right in a way. It's just that player played it incorrectly to begin with, right? But now I know. So then the other interesting thing was my brother told me about this, because this was I think in a game he played this week. Oh no, sorry, he didn't play the game. It was another game. The opponent played Singularity Rupture, right? It's a Dimir board wipe from Edge of Eternities, destroys all creatures, then any number of target players, each mill half their library rounded down. But then this opponent also had Blood Chief's Ascension on the board, right? So he was going to deal each player like up to like 100 damage because of this milling, right? So the question was, because everybody dies at the same time, who is second, who is third, and who is fourth in this game? Because points matter, because depending on who wins or becomes second or whatever, might end up at the final table, like the first table or whatever, where it's the best players playing against each other, right? This is Commander as well. So the guy who sort of organizes these events and runs the shop and stuff, he said that the player who played the spell gets to choose who he wants to kill first in whatever order. And then my brother said that in his mind, the way that it should work is that it should go in reverse order, because the stack resolves in reverse order. So the fourth person would get killed first, then the third, and then the second, I think. Or it might be the other way around. But whatever, like, that's how, but he says the stack resolves in reverse order, turn order, or whatever. Anyway, that's how he explained it to me. Well, so I heard that everyone died at the same time. In this situation, that's not true, because the guy who owns the shop was right, because the mill from Singularity Rupture was not what killed the players. It was the pinging from Blood Chief's Ascension. Because Blood Chief's Ascension, all the triggers go on the stack at the same time, the player who owns Blood Chief's Ascension's triggers, he can put those triggers on the stack in any order that he wants to. So he could literally choose who he wants to die first, right? So in this situation, the shopkeeper guy was right. The player who cast the Singularity and who had the Blood Chief's Ascension, he could choose who he wants to be second, third, and fourth, right? Because it's multiple triggers. But then the way my brother was explaining it was that it sounded like, I didn't really read into it that the Blood Chief's Ascension was the win con. I just saw it that everyone died at the same time. So I did a bit of a deep dive into the rules to try and figure out who would have actually come second, third, and fourth, or would have been a kind of a tie between those. But points matter, like I said. So I searched like Reddit. First of all, I tried to find rules on win order or something. I couldn't really figure out how to search for this. So I ended up just Googling who wins first, or who loses first, if everyone dies at the same time, right? And I found some Reddit posts where other people have asked this. And I was scrubbed through like the post, No one was like, everyone was just saying there's no rules about this. But then one guy posted right at the bottom of this like thread that here's a rule of state-based actions, right? And he said this kind of deals with it. And I was like, at first I had to read up about it. It was rule 704, I think. It was in those rules. But it's got a connection with priority rules, which is like, I'm not actually sure which rule that is, but it's like 100 and something. It's like one of the first rules in the, let's say 100. Maybe it's not 100. It's like 1.7, 1.4, whatever, and 7.4. But I think it's actually just said 704 point something A, B, C, it's like that. Anyway, so the state-based action thing, before you get priority, well, this is how I am understanding it, and I thought this was very interesting. If everyone dies at the same time, let's say you exsanguinate the board, right, and you literally just drain everyone else out for like 100 damage or whatever, like with my Tivit Deck kind of one like that. It uses Tezzeret to deal everybody damage equal to the amount of artifacts you have, and you make like a ton of artifacts and you just drain everybody out at the same time. If that was to happen, me as the player can't, as far as I understand the ruling on this, because I read like the state-based actions and the priority rules. The game checks before priority gets passed to the next player in turn. There's state-based actions that it checks, and the first state-based action is literally, is that player the next player in turn order on 0 life? If he is, that player loses the game. Then, if he's still alive, he gets priority. And then the game checks the next player for priority and then the next player. So if everyone was to die at the same time, as far as I understand it, the person that goes second after the player who casts this ability and makes everyone die, I mean, the other 3 players die, right? The second player after that, he would lose first because his priority would be first, and the game will say you are on 0 life, you lose the game. Then the third player, and then the fourth player. So they will actually lose. So the fourth player will actually come second because he will lose last. Then the third player will be third, and the second player would actually be last. So I thought that was a very interesting. That's how I understand it. I don't know if that's like accurate, but like from like reading from reading the rules, that's how I understand it. So I thought, I just thought it was very interesting that if everyone was to die at the same time, the game actually checks in priority order who is dead or who is alive or whatever. I didn't read all of the state-based action things. There's like 20 or something. It goes up to Y. So what's that, like 25 state-based actions that gets checked? But the first one is literally, are you on 0 life? You have lost a game. So I was like, that's kind of cool that there is actually a losing order if everyone dies at the same time. And which is funny is like everyone literally dies. Like if let's say the player literally kills everyone at the same time, from what I can see, people say that it's just a draw then, but I don't know if that's true. I think it like the player who killed everyone, he actually comes last because, no, wait, would it be like that though? I wonder if it would be like that because I think he gets priority first, right? And then the game will say you are dead, so he will lose last. First, I mean. So I think the fourth player would actually come first in that case if someone, I mean, I don't know if that is how it would work. It seems weird if you kill everyone but you come last. That seems like a weird interaction. But that's how I understand the rules if I'm reading the state-based actions and priority things. Because the state-based actions happen before you get priority. Like every time the stack is clear, it checks before the next player or the player who's meant to get priority before, it checks if you're still alive, and if you're not, you lose the game. So I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. If it does work the way I think it works, maybe they should change that, because I feel like the player that, if everyone gets killed, I think the player that did it should be the winner in a weird way. But I don't know. I just thought it's interesting. So yeah, that's about it. That's like about the only thing I wanted to talk about, because that happened recently. I guess other than that, I've reworked my Smeagol deck. It's now, I'm going to try and make it a Frodo Sam deck. And it's like a food deck that, it's kind of a solitaire deck, I guess. It's meant to be like aristocrats. I still need to get like 30 cards before I can actually build the deck. And then I've also gotten the holiday scene Final Fantasy VIII one with Squall. I've built a deck on Moxfield for that too. I'll link those decks in the description if anybody cares. Well, I'll link all my decks in the description if anybody cares. But that's going to be kind of it's kind of like a weird Voltron deck, but also go wide with goad effects. I was struggling to make it work. I saw another guy on YouTube yesterday. I Googled, because I got the cards yesterday, and I was like, I think the deck will be pretty cool. It might be like a bracket 2 deck, but I think it might be quite nice to play the way I've built it at the moment. But I'm still like kind of working through it. It's probably going to take me a few months before I get all the cards. I'm going to try finish the Frodo Sam deck first, because that's I actually got like kind of hyped when I was doing like a playtest thing. I think it's called goldfishing, but whatever. I was doing that on Moxfield, and like at first the deck felt really clunky, and so I edited, and then I didn't know it was like actually a precon. Like those two commanders was just a precon, and I added on EDH Rec. The recommended cards was mostly the precon cards, like the high synergy or how many people play it. And that's kind of how I started the base. And I was like, this feels really bad. Like, it doesn't feel better than my Smeagol deck. But then I started cutting the precon cards, and as I was cutting, I was like, ooh, this deck's starting to actually, like, I was getting like hyped. It started feeling like my Tivit deck. I was like, oh, this deck's going to be amazing if it works the way that it's like quite tanky, because it's like Absan. I'm adding a lot of like recursion style effects to resurrect my stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good deck. Anyway, that's all I wanted to really talk about. So, Shot, thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, if you have any like interesting rule like interactions and stuff, share and stuff in the comments, and I will, check you whenever I have opinions again that I want to talk about. So cool. Shot and cheers.